Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel if you've been here before, but today I'm going to be basically telling you about all the doctors, so then the actual person, about them, what their regeneration, why, and all that, because every human should know that. And as you can see, I have a ton of, well, not a ton, but I have some Lego characters which I'm going to use to make it easier to explain, and then I have my posters in the background, which I'll go into further detail in a different video probably. So let's get started. So the first Doctor that we have is the first Doctor, obviously, and was played by William Hartnell, and he did the Doctor from 1963 to 1966, and he regenerated due to like old age. He was being tired out, and I think he regenerated because the actor William Hartnell couldn't play the Doctor anymore, and I think he passed away because of something to do with smoking, but I'm not 100% sure. And if you didn't know, William Hartnell didn't use a sonic screwdriver. The first Doctor to use a sonic screwdriver was the second Doctor. So yeah, this is the second Doctor was the first to be seen with a sonic screwdriver. If you didn't know that. So the second Doctor was played by Patrick Troughton, who did the Doctor from, and he did the Doctor from 1966 to 1969, and he regenerated because he was forced to, and he was also exiled to Earth. Well, his TARDIS was exiled to Earth, so he couldn't go anywhere, and that was punishment for stealing the TARDIS, and that was by the Time Lords. If you didn't know that. And our third Doctor is Jon Pertwee, and he did the Doctor from 1970 to 1974. And because he was exiled to because he was exiled to Earth, without the use of his TARDIS, he got involved with UNIT, and he just helped defend Earth. And the reason he regenerated was due to radiation, which damaged his body, and he regenerated into the fourth Doctor, known for his scarf, played by Tom Baker. Tom Baker did the Doctor from 1974 to 1981, and he was the longest Doctor, but the eighth Doctor, I'm not sure. It confuses me. I don't understand it, but yeah. And he was able to use the TARDIS again, and he regenerated due to, he felt it was an episode with the Master, I believe. I haven't watched it yet because I will watch it eventually. He fell off a giant radio telescope when trying to stop the Master, and that caused him to regenerate. And he regenerated into the fifth Doctor. And you may notice I haven't got a Lego figure to show because I've lost it. And now, honestly, I'm not happy with myself. I was like sorting out my room with all the Doctor stuff, and I noticed I found one, which was Matt Smith. I was like, where did I put the others? Because all my like Doctor Who stuff, I didn't have displayed until like somewhere in the beginning, and I totally forgot about my figures. I got them like 3 or 4 years ago for Christmas, and I love them, and they all have sonic screwdrivers. Don't know, well, not all of them except William Hartnell, obviously, but I don't know where they are either. And I put them all somewhere. I will find them eventually, but yeah, I can't find his Lego figure, which is disappointing. But I can still talk about the Fifth Doctor, and he was played by Peter Davison. He did it from 1981 to 1984, and he liked cricket, and he also wore celery on his clothing, and he regenerated due to being poisoned on the planet. forgot how you say it. Androzani, I think. Androzani Minor by Raw Spectrox, I think. And therefore he regenerated into the Sixth Doctor. And this one I have. And they have little stands, but I've lost some other stands as well. Some of them I have to stand like on their own. It takes blooming ages to do. But yeah, anyway. This is the Sixth Doctor. Played by Colin Baker. And if you didn't know this, Colin Baker appeared in Doctor Who when Peter Davison was the Doctor, if you didn't know that. And he was kind of skeptical about playing that role because he thought they don't recast, and if he played that role he wouldn't be able to play a Doctor, and as you can see he actually could play the Doctor as well, which is awesome. And he did the Doctor from 1984 to 1986. And a lot of people think he had a bad taste in clothes. I don't have an opinion. It's not that bad. And his regeneration was triggered by the TARDIS crashing. And I think this is right, but I think his last words were carrot juice, carrot juice, carrot juice. I think. But I don't know. I've forgotten. Anyway, moving on. And yeah, he regenerated into the Seventh Doctor. And he has him as a Lego figure, he has the umbrella. Is it an umbrella? I think it's an umbrella. And that's where the screwdrivers, and I'll find them eventually. And he was played by Sylvester McCoy, who did it from 1986 to 1989. And as you can see, his clothes are very like question mark related. All these tiny red blobs are question marks. You can't really see it that well. And I've noticed that the 5th, 6th, and the 7th Doctor all had a question mark related to them. I think that's right. Yeah, I think so. And yeah, moving on. He regenerated. He stepped out of his TARDIS, and he was shot. And he got rushed to hospital, and the doctors that operated on him were confused by his hearts, because the Doctor has 2 hearts. If you didn't know that. And they just left him for dead, and then eventually another regeneration happened, and that means he regenerated into the 8th Doctor. And the 8th Doctor was played by Paul McGann, and as you can see, his clothes are like very smart, like Edwardian or Victorian, one of those. And there's a Doctor in between the 8th and 9th. We'll get to that in a second. And he regenerated. He wasn't forced, but he drank, I forgot what it's called, something elixir, I think. And that regenerated him into the War Doctor, which turned him into a warrior to fight in the Great Time War between the Daleks and Gallifrey, basically. And so one sec. And he regenerated into the War Doctor, who was seen in the 50th anniversary special with David Tennant and Matt Smith, the 10th and 11th Doctors. And the War Doctor was played by John Hurt, who sadly passed away. I think it was this year, I can't remember, but he was very good at the role. Even though he was only in one episode or two, he did have a lot of other career things he did, like films and stuff. And I thought honestly he was good as the Doctor for that episode. And at the end of the 5th episode, he said wearing a bit thin, and then he regenerated. We didn't see him turn into the 9th Doctor, but he regenerated into the 9th Doctor. And again, I've lost the Lego figure for the 9th Doctor as well. I'm not very good at this, am I? So the 9th Doctor was played by Christopher Eccleston, who only did it for a year. He did it from 2005 to 2005. And I didn't get into Doctor Who until the beginning of the 11th Doctor. So I went back to watch the 10th and the 9th, and I only finished the 9th a few weeks ago. And that was recommended to me by a friend of mine who has a YouTube channel, All Things Doctor Who. You should subscribe. I will leave the link down there. I thought it was really good. The first episode of Rose, that was a great start. And then the episodes continued. I thought Dalek was I enjoyed Dalek, that was a good one. And he thought at that time he was the last of his kind because of what happened with the Time War, and basically he destroyed Gallifrey basically, and that, as he thought, destroyed the Daleks, and it also destroyed his own people. When we first meet him, he's alone, but then he meets Rose Tyler, who becomes his companion, and he regenerates due to saving her life because he sends her back home in the TARDIS, and obviously she wants to get back, and she absorbs the time vortex. She stares into the TARDIS and absorbs the time vortex, and she saves Captain Jack Harkness, makes him immortal, and yeah, she basically if it will kill her, she was gonna burn, as he said. So the Doctor and her, they kissed, and he absorbed the time vortex from her, which caused him to regenerate. And honestly, I thought he should have done it for longer, but then he regenerated. I have the figure into the 10th Doctor, and again, this one doesn't have a stand either because I've lost the stands. Well, I've lost a few of them. The 10th Doctor, let me get closer, played by David Tennant, who did it from 2005 to 2010. And if you didn't know, he had quite a few companions. He had Rose, who was trapped in a parallel world, so they couldn't see each other. And that was the episode called Doomsday. I think that's right. I haven't seen it. I have seen it, but I haven't seen it in a long time. I should watch it again. He had Martha Jones, Donna Noble, and he was fighting with the Master in the Heroes Regeneration episode, and he saved Wilfred from radiation poisoning, which then he had to absorb the radiation, and that's why he regenerated. And then he regenerated into the next Doctor, Matt Smith. And you may wonder, it's missing hair. I lost the hair. As you can see, it's missing. It came off, and I don't know where it went. I was annoyed. But yeah, this is, you probably can't, it probably looks nothing like it because of the hair's missing, with like the quiff and everything, but yeah. There's no bow tie. There should be a bow tie on here. And yeah, so the 11th Doctor was played by Matt Smith, who did it from 2010 to 2013. I think that's right. And he, at first, the first episode, the 11th hour, I think that's right, he crashed into the back garden of Amelia Pond as a young girl, and she called him his raggedy man and raggedy doctor, and he, as a little girl, he said he was interested, he was looking at the crack in her wall which swallowed up her parents, which is that's kind of sad. And he said he'd be, I think it was 5 minutes, and he went back in his TARDIS, but he ended up coming back 12 years later when she was grown up, and everyone through that period where he wasn't there, she still believed in him, and people thought she was a bit crazy, if you want to call it crazy, I think. And he regenerated in the Christmas special, and on Trenzalore, basically he was waiting. He was old age, and he was regenerated back to his normal self, but that was only the reset. And he was given a new cycle of regenerations, and his last words were, "I will always remember when the doctor was me. I'm never gonna forget that." And I didn't say that the ninth doctor's was, "You were fantastic, and you know what, so was I." And the 10th doctor was, I don't want to go." Yeah, so the 11th doctor then regenerated into the 12th doctor, and I don't have a Lego figure of the 12th doctor because I got that set. I think it was 3 or 4 years ago, but you can see him up there, and over here. Got my posters. I'll get closer and do a video on the posters. And I can't. He hasn't regenerated yet, so there's not much to say yet. But I think he's. I think he's a great doctor, and the fact that he's leaving after series 10, which is the current series, is disappointing. And also his newest companion Bills is as well, which is that it's disappointing. And well, we're gonna get a new doctor, but we don't know who that is yet. And I think I have nothing else to say about this, so that's it for this video. If you enjoyed, then feel free to hit the like button. If you're new and you want to know more about Doctor Who, feel free to hit that subscribe button and leave comments of anything you want me to do, because maybe like reviews or anything to help your knowledge of Doctor Who, because everyone needs to know something about it. And that's it for this video. And also don't forget to go subscribe to All Things Doctor Who. I will leave the link down below, and I'll see you in the next video. See ya.